You can't hit what you can't see, right? So you've got to have a goal. Where I was, mate, I'm 19 and I've got a kid. So I've got to start making big decisions, Chris, you know. But I kept working these clubs and pubs, and it was an interesting upbringing for me working through that period, because I probably worked at some of the worst pubs in town. You know, I've lost an eye, I bloody was involved in a lot of incidences there. I was one incident where, you know, somebody was killed and, you know, we all had to stand under trial. Unfortunately, the bloke's dead. I can't bring the bloke back.
Yeah.
But I've got to just buy nappies and some milk for my daughter, mate. You know, that was my
heavy,
job.
Man. That's heavy.
But it taught us a lot of what not to do and what to do. You go home, eat, shower, you go and work in the nightclub, you're back there in the morning, it didn't matter, you know. But it was the greatest thing I ever did, because it got me into event security. I started this company called ACG in 2001, and the reason I started that business, Chris, was because I was working for a lot of larger companies in the past, and they promised me the world and they gave me the Atlas. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to start my own. That was in 2001, and I sold it in 2014. And, you know, we grew a monster. We grew it with nothing, and we went all the way up to, you know, just under 5,000 employees, over 100 mil. And then from event security, I built a great reputation with the AFL, and I made some amazing contacts, which led me into running some of the biggest events in town, if not the biggest, from Com Games to Australian Open to everything you can think of, you know.
That's crazy.
The weather cold, the weather so chill, chilly, willy, penguin feather road.
Hello everybody, with me today is Mr. Harry Korras. He was running a business with more than 5,000 employees, turning over $100 million. Harry inspires people to think differently and is now the founder of Life Worldwide, a boutique leadership and mentoring organization. Harry, thanks for joining me. I didn't mention the company, but it was ACG Security.
It was.
Which was then sold to Spotless. So
yes.
Get into it. Like, what's a bit of your story and how did you start?
Yeah. Well, look, Chris, thanks for having me, and of course, congratulations with everything you've been doing, mate, because it's inspiring, exciting, you know, and you're giving back, and that's something I love.
Mate, thank
So
you.
good on you, mate, you know.
I'm coming to interview you. You're giving me roses. I love it.
I'm doing the reverse.
Yeah.
Answer the question with a question, right? Yeah. No, mate, look, I've been in the security industry all my life. You know, as a 16-year-old kid, as we were, you know, gossiping earlier, if you like. And I started this company called ACG in 2001. And the reason I started that business, Chris, was because I was working for a lot of, a couple of larger companies in the past, and they promised me the world and they gave me the Atlas. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to start my own, you know, and that was in 2001, and I sold it in 2014. And, you know, we grew a monster, you know, and, you know, we grew it with nothing. And we went all the way up to, you know, just under 5,000 employees, over 100 mil. And it was one of my goals, you know, because I always say, Chris, you can't hit what you can't see, right? So you've got to have a goal. And 100 million was the time. And our story's a bit funny because, you know, grew up in Brunswick with nothing, you know, no car, no house, no phone. And it didn't matter, you know, but what did matter to me later on in life was I've got to give back and create something for our community. And that's what we really were. We were one big family, you know, and we employed everybody you can think of, you know, colours, race, didn't matter, you know, we were all one big team, you know. So that was a long journey in only 14 years, you know.
How did you even what was the first step? How did it even begin? What was it like? How did you get that moment of okay, I'm going to jump into security and start?
Yeah, well, as a young kid, I was about 16. We were training at a gym back then in the Brunswick bars in Brunswick. And a friend of ours goes to myself and another friend of mine who's worked with me forever and is still a dear friend of mine, said, oh, yeah, can you blokes fight? And we said, fight? What are you talking about, you know? So you reckon you fight, we need somebody to work tonight at a club. We're like, yeah, we're in, you know.
Let's do this, we'll turn up.
Whatever, mate, you know, young and silly, and if it's on, it's on, what are we going to do, you know? And that's what happened. And we went and worked at this club, and we were standing on the back door, and it was, you know, let nobody in the back door, you know, nobody's got to come in, and you've got to give them stamps and a little pass out stuff back then.
When you say back door, was that just like smokers or something?
Yeah,
people trying to jump in?
Yeah, well, back then you could smoke in the club, so it didn't matter. We stunk like ashtrays going home, yeah. But yeah, so that was it. We went from the back door, and I say this, you know, tongue in cheek, where we went from the back door to the front door, you know, that was the promotion, you know. And then, of course, that's, you know, I'm 16, and then I'm probably I've turned about 18 or whatever it was. I met the love of my life, mate, you know, and 6 months later, whatever it was, 3 months later, it wasn't funny. Her guts is out here, she's got a baby, right?
Well, you weren't mucking around.
I wasn't playing games, mate. We aim to please, right? So there I was, mate, I'm 19 and I've got a kid, you know. So I've got to start making big decisions, Chris, you know, so But I kept working these clubs and pubs, and it was an interesting upbringing for me working through that period, because I probably worked at some of the worst pubs in town, some of the biggest clubs and whatever. I've lost an eye. I bloody was involved in a lot of incidences there. I was one incident where somebody was killed, and we all had to stand under trial because it's none. Unfortunately, the bloke's dead. I can't bring the bloke back, but I've got to just buy nappies and some milk for my daughter, mate. That was my job.
That's heavy, man. That's heavy.
But it taught us a lot of what not to do and what to do, and then I got involved in events. A little bit of football security. They said to me, one night, can you work the security at the footy or something? And I was like, what are you talking about? So they introduced security to the football.
I was going to say, who was they? How did that opportunity?
It was another company.
Present?
It was another security company that we were working for. They had the contract with the AFL. It was one of the best things I ever did. And when I look back on it, I didn't realise it at the time.
Was this when you were at AC? No, is this when you okay, so this is when you was working.
Yeah. I was just going there because it was all day games.
Yeah.
There was no Colonial Stadium, or Telstra, whatever they call it now, Marvel. There was nothing. And MCG, that was it. Other than that, every other footy ground was open. It was Saturday day, which worked perfect. Turn up there, I think it was 10 o'clock, you finish by 5, you go home, eat, shower, you go and work in the nightclub, you're back there in the morning. It didn't matter, So, but it was the greatest thing I ever did because it got me into event security, And then from event security, I built a great reputation with the AFL, and I made some amazing contacts, which led me into running some of the biggest events in town, if not the biggest, from Com Games to Australian Open to everything you can think of,
That's crazy. I do remember seeing you guys everywhere at the Australian Open.
The Open, yeah. Funny enough, I'm back there at the moment doing some work.
That's brilliant. I think how did that whole transition? So you were working through. You started doing some events. I don't know. You said were you doing Earth Core with this company? No, that Earth Core probably would have been a bit later.
Yeah, no, with them. Yeah. But it was just that. What's the word? As I think I say it this way, that company, I enjoyed working for them. I never would have left. To be quite honest with you. But the guy that we were working for was an ex-armed robbery squad detective. Set up a security company, very old school copper. Rough, tough, all about pubs and, crash and bash and kill everyone, and their status was the worst pub in town for them was a trophy, But what he didn't realise was that the damage it was doing to the troops and the trouble we had to mop up,
Yeah, okay.
But hey, when you're young and silly, you just do it.
Yeah.
But what happened there was we did the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
I played a massive role in the Olympic Games for the security part of it. It was huge. And then he promised me the world.
Was this 2000 in Sydney?
2000.
Yeah.
So I spent 98, from 97 sort of all the way up to 2000 in Sydney, coming back and forth. And, at the end of it, when we sort of sat down and shook hands, mate, as I said, he promised me the world, he gave me the Atlas, and I thought, you know what, see you later. I'm going and I'm going to set up my own business, And I did that in 2001, March 2001.
And then, so when you started that, did you ever have any intentions to kind of start? Well, you said not really, but was it like a dream that you're like, I want to build this, or did that? So it was always there.
100%. Yeah, there was no doubt in my mind. I was very determined. And I'll tell you this, and a lot of people don't know this, but the reason we called it ACG was a friend of myself and another friend of mine, Nick, who was my number one employee 001. For about 3 months, we worked at Nike when it opened up in the city. It was on the corner of Burke and Swanston, 2001. Probably you probably remember.
Nah, I was a young tagger. I can't remember.
Your old man probably took you there and bought you some soccer shoes or something. But unfortunately, then there was a heroin pandemic in the city. Ridiculous. And if you ever read the Herald Sun, which is the Herald scum, I don't really read it, mate. But there was a toll. There was a road toll and a heroin toll.
Okay, wow.
That they used to run a toll on.
Definitely.
So a lot of the old people would remember that. But we work at Nike, and they would give us, we're undercover. And the clothes they gave us to wear were ACG, all condition gear. So I said to my mate, because back then, and you probably may or may not remember this again, it's good for you because you're a young bloke, but the Yellow Pages was a big thing.
Yeah.
The bloody robbers, So if you're at the top of the page, you get more thing and whatever. So I thought letter A, we're at the top of the list and whatever.
Yes, I heard that. They used to always do like AA,
triple A, garbage,
Yeah.
So
that's why a lot of businesses okay.
So they thought I was joking. I said, it's going to be ACG. Yeah. Don't worry, they're done. So that's what we did,
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so there was no real method or madness, and there was no real planning in it. It was just bang, easy, acronym, done, you know?
Fuck, that's crazy.
So yeah.
Even like, okay, going into all this, like, what's it? Because I know there's some people that'd be listening here that, you know, are probably in a business and have got these dreams and intentions to go and start something. Like, what would you kind of be telling them right now if they're kind of stuck, they want to take the leap, they're not sure? Because I'm sure you, even when you were going to start doing it, you probably felt some sort of like, is this going to work?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things, I mean, if you talk about now, one of the big things now, and I promote this a lot and talk about this a lot to a lot of the companies that I mentor, it's, you know, the old days when it was my days was the big that killed the small. Today it's the fast that killed the slow.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to get moving. So my days, big that killed the small. Today, fast that killed the slow. If you're slow off the mark, they got you. They caught up to you. Bang. You know, we're moving so fast today. And of course, you know, the argument is speed kills, right? But you got to get fit. You got to get fit mentally. You got to get fit physically. You got to be ready for this. If you really want to do this, don't go sooking. You know, don't go curling up. Don't go running to mum and dad about, oh, this happened to me, and don't worry about that, because you know it is a snowflake industry at the moment. The world that we're living in. You know, we can't say this. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that. There's a lot of barriers to entry. You know, but one massive lesson, without a doubt in my mind, is get your money right. Get your money right. Because why? You know, traditionally you get brought up saying, you know, money's evil. It's not all about money. It's not. And I'm not telling you that it is, but let me make it very clear that money's freedom. You got no money, you're doing nothing. Yeah. I couldn't have got here today. You wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't be in this building today, right? Yeah. So when I set up my business, one of the things I probably didn't focus on at the start was the money. So that led me to go and broke twice. And I had clients like CocaCola.
When you say,
I ran out of money.
Okay, and was that because you were sitting there, like, when you say weren't focusing, was it like, well, I don't really kind of give a fuck about it, or like you weren't really watching where you were spending it? Like, what was
no spending like that. It was, we put everything back into the business.
Yeah. Or maybe you're spending it wrong.
No, you know what it was? I didn't manage. I didn't understand it. I thought, well, I've just done this job for you.
Yeah.
You're going to pay me on, you know, you're going to pay me within 7 days.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm paying you within 60 days. I'm paying you within 30 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, guess what? I've got a payroll 4 to 8 times before I receive 1 cent.
Yeah.
Well, and then I started to realise that my clients were not going to act as a bank for me.
Yeah.
But of course, in the reverse, I was acting as a bank to them, because they would string me out. I didn't understand finance. So, you know, and I think that's very important today. And today you can go online and learn anything, you know, and understand that from here it's going to be this and it's going to be that. And having, you know, back then you'll have a relationship with the bank manager, where today it's not like that. You've got to go through a credit thing, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you know. So one thing for sure, get your money right.
When you say you went broke twice, like what happened?
Ran out of money.
Yeah, and then how would you so you had these clients?
Huge clients.
What did you do? Like,
so then I brought in a CFO.
Yeah.
Who then understood cash flow.
Yeah.
You know, and that's probably the key word. You know, it's like that cash is king, or cash flow is king. Because if you don't know where your money's coming in from, where's the penetration, what's going to happen, you know. I'll give you an example. You know, the Australian Open, as we're talking, the wages for the Australian Open, just for the week for the Australian, 1 week was 1.2 million.
Wow.
Now, if I didn't cash in, have the money ready just for that, amongst a million other things that we had on, I'm gone again.
Yeah, wow.
So we planned it.
Yeah.
You know, you go to the bank, you have a conversation, we introduce factoring, some private lending, whatever it took to get it over the line. Because number one, troops have got to eat, mate. Troops eat first. So we can't pay the people.
Yeah.
And I always say this, Chris, I wasn't in the security business, I was in the people business.
Yeah.
Very different. No people, no business, right?
Yeah.
So how am I in security? Security is what they do.
Yeah.
But I'm in the people business. I've got to make sure they were right and ready to go, you know? Yeah. So yeah, it's very...
Wow, that's crazy. Even like, what else would you say is like something really big for someone that's looking to kind of start out? You know, even just, I don't know, just to take the first step, or even if they've just taken the first step, like what should they be doing to, you know, try and generate some business or whatever it is?
Massive thing is networking. You know, meet people. Look, it's not my saying, it is a saying, and they say lots of people meet, very few connect. So I can meet you and say, okay, Chris, thanks mate, so I'll never speak to you again. Yeah. Right, but if I want to dig deep and connect, Who's your father? What's this? Why here? Why that here? Why this cameraman? How'd you do this?
Yeah.
You start to work out there's something in there that we may know. And you said Peter, Sam, whatever. We start joining dots.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, gee, I wanted to meet Peter. Would you mind organising a coffee? Bang.
Yeah.
And then Peter says, mate, let me introduce you to my mate John. Bang. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't do that. They curl up because today, unfortunately, we live in this online world and we panic.
Yeah.
A lot of people panic and they're not sure and they're not, what if I say this? How can I do that? So meeting, connecting, huge, and communicate. You know, get your communication skills right, you know. Speak the way she spoke. And I told you earlier, I was fortunate enough to work with one of the biggest Hollywood stars in the world. I never heard him drop an F or a C or anything like that. And I introduced that into my business a very, very long time ago because I was pulled up about it, swearing and carrying on. It's easy to swear. I can F this, F that, F this. It's easy not to. It's hard not to swear.
Yeah. And
it's a discipline. So if you discipline yourself to set up this business, add that into your discipline box everywhere you carry it around. You know, you carry a toolbox to work, mate. You have to. No matter what business you're in, we all take a toolbox to work, right? It just matters what's in there. Are they sharpened? Those tools sharpened? Is your mind ready? Are you going? Are you hung over the night before? Are you doing things you shouldn't be doing? Reputational damage. So if you really want to do that thing, are they going to really trust you? Why should I trust you? You know? Why should I sell my house with you? Am I really going to get the best deal? There's a stigma, you know? There's a stigma in the security industry, there's a stigma with you blokes, you know, there's a stigma everywhere.
Yeah.
So.
Well, 100%. I'm more curious. Like, one thing that's really got me, like, you were able to, you know, build a business with over 5,000 staff members, which is insane. But add on the fact that you're security guards, like dealing with like interesting characters and, you know, and then obviously having to deal with all these issues that occur. Like, you know, we discussed off camera, which I really want to get into because I know we just touched the surface of it. Was, you know, when you started, and then the drugs came in, and you had to navigate this whole new thing of party drugs and everything that's going on, blowouts, and you know, you mentioned deaths, and like, to me that gives me bloody anxiety. Like, I think what I'm bloody doing on the front lines is bloody tough. Like, it's insane. So I feel like there's just a whole nother level that is on top of what you're doing, and you know, for you to just completely destroy that industry and, you know, do what you've done is amazing. So like, I really love to pick your brains about it all. Yeah, it's a bit. I mean, look, we went from, as I was saying earlier, you know, from the alcohol drama, you know, to then this new thing called ecstasy. These pills arrived. I mean, cocaine was very low, a rich man's drug back then, and you knew who and why. But and, you know, speed and a few other little things. They were early 70s, 60s, 70s, you know, all that, right? But when these pills turned up and these events started to kick in and people didn't really know what they were, okay, the crowds become placid and different and, you know, more lovable and whatever. But if you took this and it was wrong and you didn't understand that, and the police, the authorities were trying to work it all out. I'll give you an example. We had a massive dance party at a country town. It was huge. And we would always speak with the police and communicate and do whatever. But on this occasion, they did what they wanted to do was a huge drug bust at this event, right? So they didn't tell anyone. This is a country town and we're there, people lining up to get in, and all of a sudden, there's 300 coppers, pad dogs, lights, camera, action, bang. You know, all these kids are standing in line. What do you think they're going to do? They start popping all these pills. So we had like 30, 40 overdoses, helicopters, hospitals knocked out. It was an absolute disaster. And I can understand they're trying to do the right thing. But that's not the way we were going to manage this problem, you know. And then, of course, we're the people pushing the drugs, you know. So we're dealing with everyone. We're dealing with the event organisers, the people pushing it, the people taking it. First aid not trained to deal with these problems. Our guards not trained to deal with these problems. Trying to save, you know, your life, his life, her life, you know. Become very interesting. And we had to get educated very quick about that this is the new norm. Are we accepting it? We're not. How are we going to deal with it? Give them water, don't give them water. Overdoses, how do you deal with them? They're not. It was very, very tricky, but we educated ourselves, you know, to be able to deal with it. Hence why, you know, if not all those events come to us, you know, to protect them. That's crazy. And what did you find, like, obviously then, you know, trying to handle these situations with security guards? Obviously every week you'd be, I don't know, there'd be something every day, and there'd be something that's going on. Like, what was like a thing? How would you, I don't know, build rapport with your guards, or like what was how would you navigate all that?
The good thing about us was the business was built on family and friends initially. So, you know, you would work for us. So Chris would know 2 blokes, that bloke would know 3 blokes. So along the journey, the dots would join.
Yeah, okay.
Back to someone that we know.
Yeah.
And one of the big things was turning a security guard into a manager, turning a security guard into a leader. You know, so we started to introduce leadership events where we would bring them in. We wouldn't talk about security.
Yeah.
Excuse me, the bomb's going to go off, it's going to go off, mate.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the hot tip. Everyone's going to run.
Yeah.
No heroes. Yeah. Excuse me, but the thing we had to start teaching them is to be leaders. We respected all religions, so there was no reason for you to say to me, oh, but this, but that. So we would put on halal food for our Muslim guards, Indian guards, vegetarian. The Aussies, you know, the Aussies, we'll just have a sausage. It didn't matter what it was. Different barbecues, different way of doing business. But don't pull that on us. Don't pull the race card on us. Don't try to do this on us. Don't say that on us. You know what I mean? So, but we worked very hard with them. And as I said to you earlier, you know, we weren't in the security business, we're in the people business, you know. And we worked very hard to make them. We didn't get it always right, you know, but we were a company of choice. People would line up to work for us. They loved working for us, you know. And we would reward people, you know, handsomely, you know, look after them. Love them, care for them, you know. I knew, mate, 80-90% of my staff by first and second name. I knew your birthday. I used to write birthday cards to them, you know. Chris, how's the real estate keep selling? Whatever, you know, keep the cameras rolling, Johnny, you know, whatever, you know. But it all made sense, right? A lot of people wouldn't do that. You know, but again, going back a little bit on what you said, you need courage too, mate. You know, the old saying, you need balls to do this. You know, it can't be a sook. If it's on, it's on. Not on physically, don't worry about that part, but this is business. You know, this is business. This is about you. I'm responsible to feed, you know, 5,000 people. They've got mortgages. It makes me proud to see people. No, you know, I'm going to a shopping centre, I'm in the city, and I run into people that have got their kids and they're, oh, brother, hugs and kisses. There's no one that says a bad word, but they love us, you know. I've got my house, I've got my car. I'm excited about that we gave them that opportunity, because in the end, it's nothing sexy. You're a guard. But it's how you perceive that. It's how you know, and how we introduce you to the market, you know. So
that's insane. And for yourself, like, what was your first big client, and how did you get it?
Yeah, I'll never forget. The biggest opportunity that I got was, and I always mention him and always give him a plug, a gentleman called Ian Collins, who was then the AFL operations manager. I met him at Carlton Football Club, and I built a reputation with him and a relationship with him, and then he became the CEO at Colonial Stadium. And they were having some dramas, and he rang me up, so we went and had a cup of tea, had a conversation. And I'll never forget what he said to me. He says, I know you're Harry the hirer, because you can get the blokes, that's no problem. He says, how much money you got in the bank? I goes, oh, well, mate, you've gone at the bank, $50, I don't know, what have I got? Nothing, broke, right? He goes, well, Channel 7 own us, and they're going to go through your books. They're going to, and financially, you're a risk to this stadium. So it was a real hard meeting to have, to walk away thinking, well, what am I going to do? Go and lend money, put it in my bank account and fake it, you know? And I said, look, mate, I might not have anything in the bank, but I've got more in my heart than anyone that's going to present to you here. So he couldn't put a number on that. He said, listen, son, I'll let you know what's going to happen. And you wouldn't believe this. He rings me up halfway through the season. This has never happened anywhere. So imagine halfway through the season, halfway through the football season, he sacks the biggest security company in the world at the time. Sacks him. Rings me, what are you doing? You start on Friday. Yeah, old school. Yeah, you start on Friday. And this was Tuesday. So here I am telling the boys in the office, they wouldn't believe me, they're laughing. They're kicking a soccer ball in the office, and they're having a laugh. I said, listen, we're starting on Friday, man. Yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, what are you having for lunch, mate? You know? I said, listen here, mate, there's no eating. It's on. So we started. That was our biggest and first start. And then straight after that, and God bless this fella, another guy, Ronnie Griffiths, he passed away. He rung me up and said, ring this bloke. He's the security manager of CocaCola. He's not happy. So I rang him up, very similar story. He said, man, never heard of you. I said, who are you? What have you got? You got nothing. When I did a small presentation to him, he had a bit of a giggle. I knew he was having a laugh at us, you know. And then I think it was less than 24 hours later, he rings me up and he said, listen, I need 4 blokes. Can you send them to me straight away? I said, yeah, done. This was for Coca-Cola. At the time, the biggest brand in the world at the time, you know, second to Apple. Then Apple took over. So here we are, a couple of blokes out of Brunswick, you know, Brunswick High Here 8, $50 in the bank. got the biggest stadium in town, the stadium to be, when it first opened.
Yeah, of course.
The roof closes. Look at this,
This is nuts.
And Coca-Cola. But when I went to Coca-Cola, it's a funny story, you'll like this. When I went there and he said, well, there's a line here. This is Coca-Cola. This is John Holland. They're building, He goes, your bloke's going to stand here. He's not working for Coke. He's working for them, mate. If you're going to tell me I was going to tell the world that I'm working for a builder, I'd be dreaming. I said, I'm working for Coke.
Yeah.
So I started telling everyone. Yeah. The funniest thing about it was that it became real. And we went from one guy working there for making 70 grand a year to nearly 500 people.
Wow.
I think it was like 4 years later, turning over about 14, 15 million from Coke, all on a phone call, all because, and I use this saying a lot, Chris, and that's if hesitation is the thief of opportunity. Don't hesitate, mate, go, have a go. Going back earlier what you said, giving some advice. You can't be half pregnant, mate. You either are or you're not.
Yeah.
You're having a go or you're not. You can't step in the ring for a title fight and run away, can you?
No.
So it's either it's happening or it's not happening, right? And in my business, there was no doubt in my mind. We're going to be 100 million. This is what's going to happen. But one of the toughest things, and you've probably experienced this, right, is your friends and family, you've got to realise you've got to pay them as well. So you think, come on, hang in there a bit more, but they can't.
Yeah.
Of course, right? Yeah. Because they're not doing you a favour, right? The favour's sort of running thin. But then you've got to discipline these people, and what you want and what they want are two different things, right? So you're going 100 miles this way, then you realise that you've got to keep going back to collect people. That's when you've got to start making a decision. Am I going to keep going backwards to pick these people up, or are they going to get educated, fit, able, capable to come and believe in this dream, Because in the end, it's your dream, and you need to share that vision with everyone to come along on the journey, right? But they were my two biggest clients. I mean, what bigger marketing could I possibly get? 60,000 people that it became Telstra Dome.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying, wow, who are these guys? Boom. And I made it sure that I had the biggest writing in the back, ACG everywhere.
Yeah, the fluoros. You can't miss them.
Can't miss them, mate. Just ask us, So that, and that was that was it. And then people started to say, hey, listen. But I had a great network and a good reputation, and people would bring me for lots of things. But one interesting thing about Chris was when I started my business, I vouched to never do a pub or a club again. So I did no pubs or clubs. That
Why?
was it. So 2001.
So when you got into it, so you launched it, you just said, I'm never doing this again. So how did you, what did you start off with? Like just events?
Events.
Okay.
And
okay,
corporate
wow.
dating.
Okay, so you just went for it from the start.
That's it.
And why did you say you don't want to?
It was just I had reputational damage.
Yeah.
But funny enough, I never forget talking to quite a large CEO who said, so you don't do any pubs or clubs? He goes, but let me give you the hint. You do the biggest pub in town, and that's Friday night at Telstra Dome. It is. It's one huge pub, I said, I never looked at it that way.
Yeah, it's true. But, that's a good point.
Yeah. So a lot of laughs, a lot of good times, We're blessed, mate, toured with a million bands, and we met everyone and did everything you can possibly think. Every event, it was amazing,
How did you... You obviously had trials and tribulations trying to get these clients. You reached out to them, got rejected, reached out to another one, got rejected again, and I'm sure there was 100...
Oh, yeah.
Thousands more in the middle of that you didn't get, and then eventually you did get down the line.
Yep.
How were you dealing with that? What were you telling yourself every day? Because that's tough rejection.
Very. And I'm glad you mentioned it, because 3 of our biggest clients in the end took me 5 years to go back and get them again.
Yeah.
One was Melbourne Airport, Melbourne Ports, and another one called Patrick's. Patrick's stevedoring all the big container ships and all that. And I'll never forget when I went back to them, we were bridesmaids, and we were second in all 3. But when we went back, we had a story to tell. And the lesson in this, Chris, is that a lot of people will say, oh, well, it's not coming up for another 5 years. Well, it's too late if I call you in 5 years. Stay in contact. Learn. I travelled the world. I went around the world and learned different things and brought them back here. World's best practice. So when I went and tendered again for these jobs, I had more money in the bank. I was more mature. I was fitter, smarter, better, ready. So the story I was about to tell them stuck. Hence why I won all those 3 contracts 5 years later. And, that was over $50 million worth of work, so it took us from here to here very, very quick,
But what was for example, let's just, use one as an example, the Melbourne Airport. Why didn't you get it first time round? And what do you feel was different second time round? were you building a relationship with that person where you'd contact me, hey, what's going on? Let's go for a beer, or hey, or how? Yeah, what were you doing?
Well, it was a little bit of that, but we told them something that nobody else did. You know, and one example, I'll give you an example of the Melbourne Airport, and this is why a lot of people don't go in there thinking different, right? And I mean, you could have been just a normal real estate bloke, just like everybody else. Why are you? Well, this is my story, bang, right?
Yeah.
We went in there and said something completely different, and it was really interesting because they said to us initially, you don't do any airports, therefore you can't tender for this. So I said, okay, well, just entertain us. Just let us learn. Don't let us tender, just let us learn, you know? And I'll never forget, they did this presentation, and in short, the presentation was about the Melbourne Airport experience. So they had this beautiful bloody video that came on, and it was, they called it from the tarmac to the tuller. So you got off the tarmac, you know, they made it look sing. There was no Ubers, it was just jump in a cab, right? And it was like, see you later. But at the end of the whole thing, what I picked up on, nobody else did in that room, or we did, our team, was that they didn't have the tuller to the tarmac. It was nice for you coming in, but on the way out, it was like, yeah, see you later, mate. We don't care about you. So I mentioned it. And the bloke said, what do you mean? I said, well, why have you got it only one way? How would you like it to look on the way out when I leave Melbourne? Didn't think of it, you know. So we got an opportunity to tender.
Okay. So that was your... Wait, so you were just going in to learn?
Learn.
And then you said that, and then they gave you the opportunity.
He said, you know what, throw your tender in.
Wow.
So we threw the tender in. Not only did we tender, but we won the Melbourne Airport Award twice.
Okay.
Above all the airlines, I didn't realise how big this award was. Why, Chris?
Like, here's the award, everyone's like, hey, you're like, yeah, it's another one.
Because you know, where the shoot job? We were parking officers. We were the landside security, you know, which was... You know, you're getting dropped off, you're going to Greece, you're going on your holiday, and we're there going, move the car, mate. You know, we're the assholes.
You're those guys.
Those guys. But what we did, we turned it around. So instead of just kicking you out, what we did is we got your luggage out of the back of the car. There you go, mate. Oh, is that mum? Yeah, good luck. Oh, where's your son going? Start a conversation. Well, your mum's the CEO of Telstra. She says, I've never experienced that. So she goes home, she gets on the phone, rings the PA, send an email to Melbourne Airport, tell them this, bang. Not once, we would get this every week. Every week, you know, we saved lives, we had dramas at the front, a million things. But we took it on, we loved it, we cared, we loved it, you know. And I'd go there in my uniform. I'd be with the troops. I knew that December's chaos. Look, this airport now, they don't care, no one's there. No one's rolling up their sleeves, the senior executive, no one's interested to provide a solution, right? So that's what we did. But that's just a small example, and hence why we're there for a long time, you know.
And that's mental. What were you telling yourself daily? Because I'm sure, like, there were days where you were looking up, like, where the fuck am I going to pull up the next dollar from? What am I going to do? Yep. You know, and you're just beating yourself up. You're in your head. You're just smacking yourself. Like, what were you telling yourself daily? How were you getting through it?
You know what? I always say this. You know, every day is a good day, Chris. Some are just better than others. You know, and somebody's not eating today, mate. You know. Yeah. And I use that a lot, and I'm not telling you the most religious bloke in the world, but before I eat, I always do my cross. And, you know, I've had some of the biggest of the best say to me, well, geez, you know, religious, mate. So, yeah, religious, mate. I'm just happy that I got something to eat. And that's how I treated my life, that somebody today is doing it a lot worse than me. What an environment that we've got. You know, look at the clients we've got. Look at the people we're serving. Look at the people we're eating with. Look at the things we're doing. Yeah, it's going to get tough, but hey, you know, it's not supposed to be easy either, right? But if it's easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah, it's
you true. Know. But one of the key things was we brought a lot of people along for the journey. You know, another big thing we did is we broke bread. You got to break bread, mate. You know, you eat at home, eat on the table. Well, I do that at home with my family, the kids. My daughter's 28, my son's 23. There's no negotiation. We all eat at the table. Human beings at the boardroom. You know, how's your day, Chris? You know, what's going on? La la la. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just those little things you don't take for granted. We never got arrogant. We never treated anybody any different. Didn't matter who you were, what you were, equal, mate, you know? But we had a job to do.
That's amazing. What has separated you from the rest? Because I'm sure there's been a million security companies that have come through. Like, what has really made you stand out?
I think one of the big things for us was that I was on the ground. So when I'm talking to the client, I'm talking from experience. I'm telling you, it's like this, it's wet, it's cold, it's windy, it's night. I'm not telling you from a textbook. You know, I'm not an investment banker. I'm not somebody that just thought, I've got some money, let's set up a security company like a lot of them did. It doesn't work like that, you know? So I think that gave us a huge advantage, but I also had to educate myself to become literate with those conversations with the corporates, you know, because I couldn't talk to them like a security guard, you know, about what's going on in the security industry. They don't care. So I would always educate. I read the Fin Review instead of reading the Herald Sun. I want to know what my clients are doing. What are they buying? What's next? What's the next big thing? What makes them tick? You know, how does this share thing work? How does this all operate? You know, it was all new for me, but I learned very quick. So I was able to have intelligent conversations with them. And then, of course, introduce security methods that they never would have thought of to their organisations, you know, to protect their brand.
E.g. the Melbourne Airport.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? Like, was there any other, like, I don't know, was there another, I don't know, just something cool, like something like that, just a little tweak on something that you...
Oh, look, becoming the biggest major event security provider in Australia was big for us. Everything from, you know, the Australian Open to the VRC, you know, Spring Racing Carnival, to all the cool bands and all the cool things we did, outdoor fest, all that stuff, you know, that was all good. Claiming that title was big.
Yeah.
But then, you know, we becoming the biggest border protection company in Australia was huge. You know, we protected more border than anybody else. So that was all the ports. So we had every port in Australia. Huge things like that, you know. Sometimes a bit hard to explain them, but they were big responsibilities, put it that way, you know.
How did you go from 5 staff to 15 staff to 30 staff, 50 staff, 100 staff, 1,000 staff, 2,000 staff? Like, how did you find that, and like what challenges, like what was, I don't know, was there a specific challenge that you faced at every hurdle that you had to overcome, or were they always different?
Yeah.
Or like, is there many differences from going to 10 to 2,000?
I think, there is. I mean, look, there is in terms of infrastructure and administration, but the formula of looking after the people never changed. You know, we treated you the way you treated us. Our clients, we were there to protect your brand. That never altered. And we didn't put up with bad behaviour. You know, we didn't put up with egos or people, our management team treating anybody any different. You know, you were treated with respect and love and care, and, you know, but, you know, we grew through reputation. You know, people would come and work for us. And if we're planning for a job, I would already be nominating the people that I know will be running that job. Okay. You know, so investing back in our people, huge.
What makes a great leader?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. You know, number one, I think, is a great leader leads. I'm a believer that you lead in the middle. You know, why? People say, well, you can see what's going on in the back, you can see what's going on in the front. I think you're at the front, you can't see the back, and if you're at the back, you can't see the front. Yeah. So if you're right smack bang in the middle, you know, leadership is having the courage, having the courage to tell the truth, to motivate, to educate, to be part of it. You know, love it. You got to love it. Yeah, you can't just turn up. You know, I talk about a good friend of mine, Robin Sharma, who I had the blessings to meet. You know, he talks about it, LWT, you know, lead without a title. You know, so a good leader, you don't need to be the CEO, the general manager and whatever, be, mate. You know, so, and a lot of people forget that. People want the title to be the leader. You don't need that. You've got to have it inside you too, you know, you've got to lead. And in, you know, put it to you this way, in our industry, you're leading fun, you're leading good stuff and that, but let me tell you, when the shit hits the fan, you need a leader. You need someone to make those quick decisions, quick. Because people are getting hurt or something's happened major. You've got to make those decisions, bang, 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 a kid's missing. You know, you get your kid missing, a frantic parent. What are you going to do? You've got to lead. You've got to lead that operation to find that kid. Now, the kid with the white T-shirt, well, there's 50,000 of them. Yeah. How? Why? Yeah. Just give me a small example. Yeah.
Are people, like, do you think people are born leaders, or can they be trained? Like, is it a natural ability, or?
Yeah. Look, a lot of the times I used to think you were born with it for some reason. I don't know. And it comes up with your upbringing as well. But then again, if you join an organisation, and I treat this no different to the Defence Force or the authorities, a lot of those kids that are in there, they've never had a fight in their life. They've never seen blood in their life. But they're educated and taught that this is how it is. And I believe the same with with leadership, you know. You've got to teach it. You've got to teach it. And it's up to that individual to embrace it, to take it on board and want to be that person. Some are fantastic employees. Some are just fantastic People that don't want the title, they don't want the responsibility, they don't want to. But it's also a good leader finds good leaders. You know, you identify good people to give them an opportunity, and they're not a threat to you. That's when you're the smartest bloke, because you're not worried about whether they're going to take your job or not. You want them to.
Yeah.
You know, because you're doing a great job. You know.
What issues do you find like with leaders, you know, that are kind of starting out, or they're a couple years in, or they've got a few people under them? Like, what are the major issues that you see?
I think today it's a lot of everybody wants to be that other guy instead of being themselves. You know, I always say this as well. You know, success leaves clues. Have a look around you. Who's doing it better than you? They may be doing some great things. They may be doing some terrible things. So take the good, sift the bad, and focus on you. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. But of course, don't go to a gunfight with a knife either. You need to know what you're entering the danger zone, and what is that? You know, so.
What inspires you every day? Like, even to now, has that changed from when you first kind of started? You know, you've had kids. Like, is there something that you've always looked to, or is it literally just, I want to eat? Like, I'm grateful that I can eat. Like, and that's as far. Do you have a big inspiration, or? Yeah, look,
I'm blessed to have my kids, and I had them young, and my wife, that lady, she's still hanging around, mate. I married her. In fact, we celebrated 29 years last week, so
that's amazing.
A long time, longer than you, right?
Only just
right? Yeah, and look, mate, I wake up every day pumped, I wake up every day. I'm a big believer. I plan the night before. In fact, I plan a week before and a month before, and I'm ready to go, and I wake up inspired and ready, and if I can give something back every day. And I find that I always do, somewhere, somehow. I don't know how, but it just happens, no matter what, and I get excited by it. And I really love giving back and seeing people do so well, I've connected a couple of people at the moment. They're doing an enormous deal, these two guys. It's, today it's probably not that big, but 300 million is a big deal, sort of. You know what I mean? I'm connected. They're gonna do this big thing, and this has been 6 months in the making, and chit-chatting, and now they're friends, and now they're going to do business, and I get a clip out of that and whatever. But that was not my drive. My drive was I'm telling you, I want to open your eyes, Chris. I want to be able to see around corners, and a lot of them don't. They panic, but I've worked on them, and it inspires me to know that today that these guys are actually going to do something, that it's worked.
Have you always been like that? Like, even growing up, like, even now, in people's eyes, you're successful in regards to what you've achieved business-wise, and, you've got a great family and all that jazz. But have you always been the guy that, that's wanted to give back, or like, and I'm sure, I don't know, people have done some bad things to you where they've, wronged you or stabbed you in the back and things like that, and how do you kind of just like look at them they're just humans in general, and hold that trust and still want to give back? Because a lot of people don't. Like, you're extremely successful. A lot of people don't want to sit down and provide value and things like that.
I think one of the big things in life, it's a big lesson, is forgiveness. And when you forgive, you don't carry that around anymore. You don't carry the garbage around. It's not your problem, and I was, I can't forgive. What about this? And of course, every time you say this, people go, well, what about those blokes that touch the kids? How do you forgive those, Well, I know a lot of blokes that run the prisons. I know a lot of blokes in prison, but I know a lot of blokes that are, head of security and do different things in the prison. And you speak to them and they say, well, mate, Harry, you probably don't want to hear this, but they're not mentally stable, these people. So when you hear that, it's not an excuse, And I'm not telling you, but look at the father in Sydney, lost his kids. They got ran over, killed,
Was that
by, the drunk bloke,
Oh, yeah, I think there's.
He was invited to the Queen's funeral, right?
Okay, yes. Yeah? Was that the one with the 4 kids or
Correct.
something? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
He forgave.
Yeah.
He goes and visits the bloke in jail. So if you don't, huge.
Shit. Yeah.
But mate, again, you forgive, things become different, and you just got to keep giving back. Giving back is, there's an old saying, receive without forgetting and give without remembering. So if you want to do that thing, and a lot of people film it today, feeding the homeless. I get it, and it's good too because it inspires people to do something good. But if you're trying to get more followers or YouTube, whatever you're trying to do, good luck to you. And it doesn't matter. I'm not. It doesn't matter. If you're doing something good, you're doing something good, right?
Yeah.
Different people got it for different reasons. But giving back today, today giving back, people. It's not always put your hand in your pocket. It's me going, Chris, how you going, brother? Oh, did you ring me? The amount of people I send messages to saying, have a best day, have a beautiful day, I hope you're well, whatever. And I get some people who say, why'd you send it to me? How did you know? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that you're a good human. And it's one of my best sayings, be a good human. Don't be an arsehole, mate. Nobody likes an arsehole. Hang around with an idiot, a dickhead, hang around with an arsehole. Somebody that's rude and arrogant and carries on and, I drive this car and I promote this and I watch this, I put the watch. Who cares, mate? Yeah. Fantastic for achieving it.
Yeah.
But are you a good human? Because if you're a shit bloke, let me tell you, not many want to be around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
doesn't matter how much money you
money, it doesn't matter, mate. Well, keep it. Enjoy yourself, Go and spend it with your fake friends.
Yeah.
I love them, mate. We spark Barbies in Brunswick in the back lane, and we've got the vegans next door. We've got the bloody greenies across the road. We've got the lamb on the spit, chops, 400 sausages,
We've got
We've got the lebs, we've got Turkish neighbours here. We've got the women who've got a fence. The fence is busted, the door's always open. You know what I'm saying? Real community, not fake garbage and, wanting to be something that we're not. What you see is what you get, mate. I can put the suit on and put the best thing on and mix it up with the best of them, and I can also wear shorts and thongs and still be the same person. I think that's been an amazing human being. And when you've got people around you like that, they're not faking it, they're not somebody else, you're on a good thing.
Have you always been this positive about life?
Always.
Or even
I don't do negative. Yeah. In fact, sometimes it drives my wife insane, to the point where she's like, but it's not. But it's not good. And I said, happened. It happened, mate. Big deal, you can't change it, right?
Yeah.
There's a funny, my wife, in fact, when I talk about my wife, my father passed away, right? I said, oh man, my mum rings me, listen, come and light the heater. Your old man, the idiot's having a snooze, I'm about to start a big board meeting. People everywhere, they go, I know it's a cold day in this stinky house in Brunswick. I'm thinking, if I don't go put that busted heater on, she's probably going to die too, freeze, right? So I get there, I bolt there, and I look in the room and there he is in the bed. I thought, mate, this bloke never sleeps like this. What's going on here? Anyway, so I go in, I go, get up, you old bastard, in Greek, he's like, and they talking. I thought, mate, we've got a problem here. I look at him, and he's had a heart attack. So, I'm grabbing him, but it was funny, because the funny part about it was, I'm doing the CPR thing, I'm on the bed's going all over the joint, I thought, better get him on the floor, bang, call the ambos. I thought I better just get onto that straight away, So pumping the bloke, trying to get him going, mum's screaming, put the bloody heater on. The reason I'm telling you this is, look, he died, right? And people say he died in your arms. And the vision I have, and I'll never forget in my life, was not the fact that he died. I missed the bloke, of course, right? But my neighbour, who had a cigarette and a coffee with him every day, twice a day, at the front. And they'd sit there, talk politics, save the world.
Yeah.
The bloke standing, I'll never forget, at the front of my mum's, the door, and he's just coming in and out, and he can see me pumping my dad, and the tears running down his face, and kept saying to me, I'm so sorry that I couldn't do anything. That was more disastrous, But the positive part of it was, I remember my dad for all the good stuff. You know what I mean? You're dead. What are you going to do, mate? Yeah. In the end, what are you going to do? Nothing. Yeah. You can't do anything. And my wife goes, you're cold, you didn't cry, and I didn't have those tears. I didn't have, what's the word? I don't know. I'll probably cry in 5-10 years. I don't know. Something might happen, right?
I'm starting to cry for you.
But you know what? It's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But guess what? We had to get back to business, mate. Yeah. The business didn't close.
Yeah.
Mum still had to, and I didn't tell you, but there's probably something that's, something happened to us as young kids when I was 17. Mum was diagnosed with brain tumours. You're still alive today, right? She's got a half a head, one tooth, one arm, one leg. She's still going, this lady, right? It's unbelievable, right? So it was, what's the word? We're probably used to that drama, not that drama, that...
Yeah. Just, I don't know, that feeling or...
What do you do? So I say to my mum, what are you whinging about? You're still going, mate.
Yeah.
It's not like you don't know what's going on. All right, you've got a half a head, you've got one tooth, mate. Big deal,
Yeah.
You'll be positive about it. So if people like that are still kicking and going, who might have a whinge?
Yeah.
You're the blokes in Africa who've got nothing to eat.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's how I see it. Every day, that's how I see it.
Well, I think there's 800 million people still don't have access to clean, sewage water.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, water. It's
something,
the stats. I don't know it exactly, but We're living here. We're extremely bloody fortunate.
Yeah. You got to do positive, Chris.
Yeah.
What's the alternative?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah.
Negative. Miserable.
Literally. Yeah.
It's raining. Get an umbrella, mate.
Yeah, but why is it like, I feel like 90-something% of the world, negative is so loud.
It's huge.
It's so loud, positive.
It's easy. Sympathy. We all want sympathy. Oh, come here, mate. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
We want that. We want to belong.
Yeah.
But what we're failing to realise, we're belonging in things that don't matter. Because in the end, it's Chris versus Chris, mate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not Chris versus everybody else.
Yeah.
It's you versus everyone else.
Yeah.
Because you go home, you talk to yourself more than you talk to anybody else.
Yeah.
You look at yourself in the mirror. You know what's right and wrong. We all do. We all do, right? So I'll give you an example. So the bloke just walked past, he probably gave me a parking ticket. So what? It's half an hour, mate.
Yeah.
I'm going to abuse the bloke.
Yeah.
Half an hour, that's it. He's paying his bills.
Yeah.
People don't see it that way. Oh, yeah, prick, you've done this to me. Well, did he? You did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
You did it, mate.
It's true. It's true. He's just on the end of it, just a bit of abuse.
Who cares, right? So that's an example.
That's fair. It's fair though. What's like the best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
It was really good. I got some advice from the then CEO of Qantas. A lot of people got the shits with Qantas, but I still reckon the best airline in the world, right? But one of the best things he ever said to me was we quoted a job for him, right? And this was to do with, I can talk about it now, it was the Chappelle Corbies and all this stuff that happened, right? And he said the reason we had won the job was because of speed and flexibility. How quick we were, how flexible we were. How quick we were to get back to them with the solution, and then how flexible we were along the journey to accommodate what they wanted doing. And I took that everywhere, to all my clients, to every operation, speed and flexibility, how quick we are, how flexible we are to fix it, do whatever. And I think that's a fantastic piece of advice, Don't talk about it, keep moving on, keep doing what you got to do. I always call this thing KMF, keep moving forward. We have a problem, KMF, mate, move on, it's okay, So,
when you say, obviously, flexibility, would that be more to just not like one size fits all to everyone and just be willing to be agile? Because especially like at a company like that, like at a company your size, like I'd say like a lot of them are stuck in their ways, or there's a lot of decision makers in a sense. So it is slow.
Yes.
Did you find, even that you had this mentality that we're going to move fast, did you ever find it difficult at some points to move fast, and how would you navigate that?
Yeah, you go on the journey with them.
Okay.
Not one team. Not two teams. It's one team.
Yeah.
So if I was protecting Chris's enterprises, it's your values, your brand, your way of thinking, and that's why you want it done like that. And then we explain to you, these are the reasons why we do it like this, and then we meet somewhere in the middle. That's being flexible. Yeah. But let's not sit on it. Let's move. Let's make that decision.
So that was always like your main, like when you'd go in there and you'd obviously hold on it. That was your main thing of like,
and don't panic.
Yeah.
All right, we lose the job. I'll give you this other piece of advice before I forget. I think I'm getting old, Chris, right? I'm not that old, but
you're still looking good, mate.
All right. I said to the bloke, it's Nivea, put Nivea. I said to my son, laughed at that time. But if you tender for something, right? You go for something, you do something, and you don't get it, right? No one will write to the client. I used to write to them. Thanks for the opportunity to have tendered. Wish you all the very best. Whatever. Look forward to talking to you next time. But if the thing fails or whatever, and you need help, please call us, sort of thing. Thanks very much. See you later. Love Harry, send. People would write to him. You pricks, you done there, we didn't get it, bastards, corruption, they went with Johnny over there, Bob over there, all this bullshit. I never did that. Because, mate, you can't lose something you haven't got.
Yeah, it's true.
It's not yours.
Yeah.
You didn't have it in the first place. So if you got it, it would have been a bonus.
Yeah.
So what are you carrying on about?
Yeah. I went this thing last week where, so pretty much kind of tendered out. It was for a massive marketing job for my digital collectibles that we're doing, and massive company. Like everybody knows them. They're one of the biggest in Australia.
Yep.
And the hardest thing for me was, so the owner of the company responded saying, let's go ahead. And then 3 hours later, he pulls the plug and says, oh, we're not going to proceed anymore. Like, so I felt like I went all the way up in the sense, I was like, yes, like I was screaming. And then I felt like I got kicked straight in the balls. And for me, it was a situation of I did feel like that. It just responded obviously kindly, and I'm not rude, and still going to obviously try and provide value and things like that. But I don't know, like, and I'm sure you've had situations like that. Like, what did you do kind of moving forward, and how did you handle it all?
I had one, and I'll tell you this, I'll share this with you. We won the MCG, right? So we won the security for the MCG, and traditionally they wouldn't give you 2 stadiums, so they wouldn't give you, Marvel, that it's called now, an MCG, because they saw it as a risk.
Yeah.
But I won it, so done deal, got it, right? To the point, here's the contract, read through it, sign here, right? Then I get a call from then the head of procurement. This is for the MCG, mate, one of the biggest, the best.
Yeah.
Saying, let me meet you, I need to meet you, I want to talk to you straight away now, like immediately. It was, I'll never forget it, my pissing down rain. This bloke had walked from the MCG all the way up nearly to the Hilton, drenched. He goes, it's okay. I said, man, are you all right or what? I thought something, He goes, I'm just telling you so you know, a disgruntled ex-employee of yours, who's a former policeman, has come in and just spoke to the CEO not to give you the work.
Wow.
Right? So they gave it to another company. I thought, wow, this is unbelievable, right? So we've popped the champagne, we're ready to roll, right? They've given it to a company that has no event, they did nothing, they're busted, right? Fast forward the story, I'll never forget that every media outlet had rung me because someone, I don't know who it was now, but leaked the story.
That you'd got it?
We got it, and this is what's happened.
Oh, okay, it's the full, wow, okay.
This is what's happened, you want to bloody get onto this story. So they're all ringing me, mate, let's do a story on these bastards. And then the CEO of the MCG rang me, and then the general manager rang me and said, oh, Harry, so listen, let's not even go in there, let's not go there. I know what's happened, but I won't be talking to the media, and I wish you the best, and I hope that in the future, you don't forget us. It should have happened, but let's move forward. My team was devastated, and at that stage we were a very big company, and they were like, let's do legals, let's go there, let's do this, I'd be a little bit unprofessional for 1 minute. I wanted to send in the troops, turn the place upside down, Give me a bit of old school.
Run straight through.
Just, let's see how good they really are, and live in my business card, But then I thought, grow up, mate. So, but mate, and I sympathise with your story because if you're getting told by the top and then the bottom, but today you'll find that, and a lot of your viewers will probably understand this, it's a lot of people are eating, and I'm a big believer that everyone's got to eat, but I never, ever, ever, ever did we pay a client, did we bribe a client, give them a bag of money or anything like that, never. Take you to lunch, 100%, give you the corporate box, 100%, grog, give you some alcohol for, Christmas and all that, 100%. But today, and the more I see it today, it's unbelievable, what's happening out there,
Do you always get like a lot of characters coming to you and do this, do that, and?
Oh look, we always had different people wanting to do different things in different areas of the business.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
You do it once, you get contaminated.
Yeah. You're fucked. Yeah.
No need.
How like obviously going into your decision to sell, why, like, how did that decision come about? Was it a thing that you just kind of got this offer and you're like, oh my God, like maybe I should take it, or were you thinking about it the whole time and you started like putting the feelers out? Like,
no, not really. We had this conversation, and you know what? When I stopped acting like a security guard and acting like a businessman, which was a lot earlier than a lot of others, I started to see the business, and I thought to myself, it's either you get too big, too expensive. What am I going to do? I want to have an exit strategy. And a lot of people forgot this. When I started telling my managers and a lot of my people that worked for me, I said, you remember, I've been doing this since I was 16, mate. I just turned 40 then. I said, it's a long time. 7 days a week, 2 phones. I lived on the plane. Qantas knew me by first name. I walk on there, they knew me. I had more freaking flyer credits, mate, anything you want. Every status, every chair, lounge, whatever you want. Whatever. The scones taste better there, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not complaining, I went from this is probably the nightclub story, from the back door to the front door. I went from sitting at the back of the plane to the front of the plane, because that's where the business is. There's nothing happening at the back, mate. You know, I'm just meeting the ordinary sales bloke who's just like me, having a go.
Yeah.
The businesses get done at the front. So I always had an exit strategy in my head. I wanted to hit 100 million, and then go and have fun, enjoy my family, mate. I didn't see my kids, I didn't really tell you this at the start, but my wife's going, "Mate, you're married to the business, mate. See you later." So she took off, because I wasn't married to her. I didn't think anything different. I said, "No, we're getting a car, houses, what do you call it? Yeah, cars, house, kids. What else do you bloody want? Isn't that the dream? Isn't that our dream?" And it's just, "No, the dream is to be with you, mate. Hang out with you a little bit, just a bit,
Yeah.
And I didn't see that either. So there is a lot that happens on the journey. And then, I brought in smart people to run the business. I had the business people and the security boys, the security business and the business. They need to talk, because I was running a good security company. I wasn't running a good business. Then I had to learn how to run the business and also run the security company, but also taught the business people how to be security because I didn't respect them. And I'll never forget bringing them out to a big event. I remember Monday morning, they were like, "I've never seen anything like it. My feet are blistered, we're burnt, the violence, the trouble, all the stuff behind the scenes. I never see this stuff, The amount of people getting locked up, people getting thrown out, brought out, all these 600 people on the ground at a big operation, right? So we've got everybody talking, and to answer your question...
Got them from the clouds into the dirt.
Into the dirt, mate. Yeah, absolutely. But you know what happened? They, it made me realise that, do I really want to do this forever? And there's an old saying, Chris, fame or fortune. Do you want to be known as the biggest and the best, or do you want to make some bucks and be happily ever after? Because nobody's going to care later on. Everyone's going to get a job, and I bless them, and they all have, which is great, So,
yeah, that's crazy. Now, obviously, that you did make the decision to sell, did you? You've obviously now started a new business, but did you kind of just chill around for a bit? How was that transition?
Yeah, no, not really. We look, when I sold the business, and I'm honest, Chris, I don't tell bullshit. We ran into a bit of a hurdle, and the hurdle was that we had some people that were supplying staff to us that were paying cash, right? They were friends of mine. I know the boys, and we had a bit of a drama. And as I said to you in the earlier part of this podcast, that I'm old school, mate. Grew up in Brunswick, not the Brunswick today, the old school. I don't talk. For me, there was no comment, and it wasn't going to happen. And unfortunately, we got hit by the authorities, and they wanted me to tip in these blokes. And in fact, the police that come to speak to me, one of them was my old guard. The bloke was in tears, He says, "Mate, Harry, you got to sign these statements." I said, "It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to sign nothing, mate. I'd rather, that's why I could hold my head up high today, and I'd rather have a bit of dirt over here, the imaginary stuff."
Yeah.
And I always say this: if I was that bad, mate, these massive clients that I had would still not be ringing me.
Yeah.
And an example of that was, you asked me the question of, what did I do? And that was, I got involved in an event called the Arnold Sports Festival.
It's going to be my next question.
Was it?
Yeah.
I read it. I read it off the screen. Nah. But that's what I did straight after the sale. And that's not what I was planning to do. But Tony Doherty down at Doherty's Gym and I have been friends since '94, when he moved from Bendigo to Melbourne. Myself and another friend of mine, Nick, we became like his first members, and we've been mates ever since. It was love at first sight. We was having a good laugh, And the gym then was in a street called Union Street. Nobody knew it. There was only a few of us that used to go there. And then
in Brunswick?
Well, now it's in Western Street. It's a big...
Okay, yeah.
There was another one,
Because he's got a few. There's
a few. Well, there was a few. There was the city.
Yeah.
Campbellfield.
Campbellfield, yeah.
So then he said to me, "Man, I'm doing this thing, Arnold." I didn't know what he was talking about. Arnold Classic Sports Bodybuilding. I was like, whatever. Man, he's like looking at me like, "What do you mean you don't know about this? The whole world knows about this thing." And we're bringing Arnold Schwarzenegger. We're going to do this. I said, "Done." Yeah,
did he run the event? So he brought it.
He brought it to Australia.
Okay, yeah, wow.
Yeah, he brought it to Australia. And then I did some research, and then what I did realise was Tony knew a lot about bodybuilding and a little bit. He was running his own event called FitX and whatever. But fast forward the story, he gave me 14 items. I gave him like 140 items. And he looked at it and gone, "Shit, I'm missing all this." I said, "Mate, you're going to run this event, you need all these things. This is going to be huge." And it was sold out at the Melbourne Convention Centre there, completely sold. You couldn't move. It was unbelievable. So Arnold arrives in Australia. We look after him and entertain him and take him around, and we just click. We just become friends. That was probably the reality of the whole thing. And I think he enjoyed the way that we operated. There's no mucking around. Anything you needed done was done. That was in our blood. That's what we did all my life. So he stayed on. We went for that famous bike ride in the city, and we got done for not having helmets and So, you know, we had a good laugh. And then he said, you coming to South Africa? And I was like, not really, in my head, you know. And then he's like, well, I'll see you there, sort of thing. So I ended up in South Africa and in Hong Kong. And then I became partners with Tony. So we started doing these events here, there and everywhere.
Oh, wow.
And then I spent 5 years with Arnold on the road and doing different things in different countries of the world.
Oh, that would be fun.
It was fun. Yeah. It was exciting. You know, and he's an amazing human. He is so smart. And he's not an actor. What you see is what you get. A real funny man and gives you his attention. And we learnt a lot. And, you know, he just enjoyed our company, so much so that, I don't know, I tell this a lot, but he loved us that much that he sent us a watch. You send us all a watch. The five.
That's amazing.
Hey, Tony, it's on. So you can't buy these tank watches, you know. So they arrived saying thank you very much, and here's to a long friendship. So off we went, you know.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What do you feel like? What's one thing I don't know that you kind of got from him that you learned, or just something like something that you found interesting? It could have been like anything at all.
I love his attention to detail, and I love the fact that if he's talking to Chris, then he's talking to Chris. And if I tries to jump in, he'd be like, sorry, Chris, excuse me, you know, wait a minute. Okay. And he'd be into you, engaged. Yeah. But he wouldn't tolerate fools either, you know, so he's very clever, very, very smart man, very astute. And in the end, you know what, he's a businessman. Yeah. And so be it, that's his brand, you know, and why not, you know?
That's crazy. And it's definitely a very interesting experience, like 5 years on the road with someone like him. Yeah. Insane. But now you've got Life Worldwide.
Yes.
So what is that? You know, if there's, and how can, you know, someone that's listening that could potentially be interested, you know, how does it work?
Well, Life Worldwide, as I said to you earlier, Chris, leadership is for everyone, worldwide, meaning it's everywhere. Yeah. You know, I set that up to give back, you know, initially. And what I realised was during my career in the business that I was, that's what I was doing. I was mentoring people, educating people, putting them back together again. You know, they're broken, put them back together again. And that's what this business does. It connects you with a lot of people. It puts you back together again. It makes you re-energized, start loving life again. Stop doing, and you know, I always say to people, you know, like I'll ask you this: have you got a to-do list? Yeah. We all do, but have you got a don't-do list? Yeah. You know, a lot of people don't, right? And it's not something that, and it's not a lot of things that people think of.
I don't have a don't-do list.
And people go, well, I'm not going to swear. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do drugs. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Have the courage to be the difference. Have the courage to, if you want to be that media company, who is the best media company in the world and why? And this is what Life Worldwide does. It takes that deep dive. It hits you. You know, it gives you those punches that, you know, you're not expecting to make you the most incredible human being, you know, because in the end, why you? A lot of the times people do business with people they like. And I try to enforce that with Life Worldwide with everyone that I meet, you know, and nobody wants to do business with an asshole, mate, you know. I'll buy that one thing off you, never see me again, you know. And let me tell you, I won't be telling anyone either, you know. Yeah. So you don't want that, you know. Or those people that have got that problem, that stigma, that bring them back to earth, calm them down, you know, reshape them, tell them, because in the end I've got nothing to lose. Whether you want to be part of my program or not, it doesn't matter. What matters to me is that I've given you everything I can possibly give you to, you know, to make you that better person. And I always start with the stuff at home. You know, you're married, you've got a partner, you've got kids, what are you doing, this, that, cheating, playing up. No one trusts a cheater, mate. Why would I trust you? Yeah. Cheating, just playing up a little bit here, I've got a girlfriend here, well, no, it doesn't work like that. I've got another saying there, it was build up an appetite, go home and eat, you know. It doesn't work, nobody wants to be around that rubbish, you know. Yeah. And that's what Life World does. It, you know, I'm on the social, I do a couple of videos, or I love them.
You do. Yeah. I was literally going to mention that as well next. They're bloody good, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's nothing scripted. It just whatever's happening is happening. The week that I've had and the people that I've met and the things that I've done, and that's me just giving it back, you know. And people I've had massive, and I mean I got some really good friends in some huge, and we can talk about it offline. Like media companies and big organisations, platforms that they do different things, and mate, I'll get you millions of. I'll do this, I'll do that, and we can do this. I say I want that, mate. Whatever I got is real. I'm not buying anything. I don't want to be there. I'm not going to not going to promote my car and the thing I live and I've done there. Who cares, mate? You know what I mean? Like,
where you're going to get a nice photo, big Rolex in front of the car.
But you know, there's no. You know what I mean? Well, a mate of mine's head of security down at the Melbourne Airport. He sort of now does Essendon. He's a consultant actually, I should say. He's not the head. But I didn't know. Maybe I was the only person in Australia that didn't know that they rent to take the photos and do the fake jet things and the cars. I didn't know that, man. You know, like
crazy.
I'm having a coffee with him and we'd do, because I do walk and talk. I love doing that. You know, let's go for a walk, Chris, and talk it off. You know, if you're going to tell me something interesting, I'll leave the phone in the corner right, to fix it, right? And then I said to him, "Who's here?" Like I thought it was a celebrity, you know. And he goes, "No, they're filming." I said, "What are you talking about? Who's telling me? You thought I was from another planet?" Because they're the fake Instagrammers, and I'm like, "What are you talking about, man?" So for me, it was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, man, they go hard. Like, they hire like a plane for the day.
Yeah, like, good luck. But
it's causing a lot of damage because people are looking at it like, imagine you're a 16, 17, 18, 25, 30-year-old struggling in life. And you're looking at them like, oh, look at what they've got. The Rolexes, the planes, it's damaging.
Look, it's damaging, and I think the wrong people send the wrong message. But you know, the people that have made it, and again, success leaves clues. Why not have the best car? Why hide it? You know, I was laughing. I wanted to buy a Bentley. I went and bought a Bentley. You know, like walked in shorts and thongs, and it was boiling. It was boiling. The bloke didn't talk to me. You know. And then we became best mates, right? And it was a long story to that one. But and he says, "What do you mean?" I said, "That car there, I want it now. I'm buying it. It's non-negotiable." You know. But of course, straight away, he's a drug dealer. You know, he's this, he's that, he's this, and this. In Brunswick, nobody had a Bentley in Brunswick. You know what I mean? But I'll take it anywhere. Coles, anywhere. I couldn't care less, right? But I'll never forget taking it for a service, and the service bloke goes, "Oh, Mr. Korras, you know." I said, "Don't call me Mr. Korras. What are you talking about?" He says, "Oh, two things. I've never had a Bentley, you know, go so fast. They put in the computer. They're like, whoa, you know, good to see you driving the car, but it's doing too many kilometres." And I said, "What do you want to do? Leave it in the garage? You know, what do you want to fake it? You know what I mean? Like, man. I think that's different. You are who you are, you know, and if it's doing good, fantastic. But if you're faking it, you're only kidding yourself. You're damaging you and your brand.
It's it's social media. We're going into an interesting world, but
man,
I'm sure like there was always, you know, it's you can't stop it. Like there's people just, I don't know, like I think you said it before in a different context that, you know, people just kind of want to feel something. They want to kind of get you know, people belong. To belong. So pretty much just to kind of wrap this up, where do you see yourself going in the next 20, 30 years? Like how do you see it all playing out with yourself? Like, do you want to build this business into something huge, or is there something else that's kind of like Look, I most recently got involved in a couple of other businesses, and you know, I'll make sure that they will do the things that we said we're going to do for them. Number one, and number two, of course, my Life Worldwide business is going really well. I will continue to give back, and somewhere along this journey, I'm going to turn it around a bit and change it and create a place where people can come and network. People can come. You know, we do a lot of different things. Like we do a thing called Lunch and Learn, where you know you turn up and we got guest speakers and different things happening, and it's an exciting event, right? But we're going to do a couple of bigger events, cheap. You know, when I say cheap, affordable is probably the right word. Not a massive ticket, $50, you know, just to pay the costs. And bring some amazing speakers to give back, because I think the more we give, the better it becomes, and the message gets out there more. 100%. And it's good for business too, right? So we'll pick up, and then those big groups will make them into small groups, working groups. And have I've got some people that have come to me that are huge investors, big players, you know, big corporates that have would love to invest into some young guns. So I'd like to start introducing them to the right people to make the right decision from the start. Amazing.
And in there you would have the legals, the contractuals, so that you're not getting robbed. You're not getting, you know, your IP is protected. Everything's done the right way, because that one thing could be the biggest thing that happens, right? And if you can't see it and you're starving and you're not sure and you're uneducated, they swallow you up. And let me tell you, these corporates are ruthless. They don't care. It's all about the dollar. And if you haven't got the right person in your corner, and I always say sometimes, you know, we go to these meetings and say, "Chris, you better put your mouth guard in for this one. You know, we're going to just be careful what you say, how you say it." And we'll take a few punches, but we'll roll with it and just see, don't get desperate, and just educating them, you know, preparing them to go in for these serious meetings, you know, and grooming, that's another thing. People just try to trend, go with the trend. When you go into the old money, it's not about trending, it's about presenting yourself the way you should, you know, and you go casual, you become a casualty, mate.
Yeah.
And this is what Life Worldwide has been doing, will be doing. And probably right at the end, it's just, I've got a little thing cooking overseas somewhere that I think I'd find myself doing a lot of work over there. So, yeah.
Is it Europe? Is it?
No, more Asia.
Okay,
it's
Asia,
in Asia.
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
I was going to say, like, you're opening up, I don't know, something down in Greece. Down
Greece, mate,
down in Santorini or something.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
Oh, that's amazing, man. Like, Harry, you have provided so much value today. Like, I really appreciate it. And for anybody that has been listening and has enjoyed it, you can find Harry on Instagram, Harry Korras. Obviously Korras, which will be in the, you can obviously on the YouTube link as well. And I'll link your socials in there. You know, I've been following you since the night at the business table. So it's probably about 3-4 months. 5 months, somewhere there, and every day, Harry, you're posting value, whether it's just an inspirational quote or whether it is your videos that you do post, and you know, I do watch it, like, and I think I get value out of it. Sometimes that you post something that kind of gets me for the day that I've been feeling or something like that. So good. Firsthand, you've been providing me a lot of value, and even on this podcast, you provide a lot of value. So thank you so much for taking the time out. And
thank you.
It's been great.
Fantastic, Chris. Thanks for doing what you're doing, and keep punching, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.